Hello, how are you today? I'm glad that you're joining me on my adventure to create the ultimate Desperate Housewives save file for The Sims 4. Today we'll be adding the missing houses to Wisteria Lane, so let's get started. In my last video, we completed the first half of Wisteria Lane featuring the Scavo House, the Greenberg House, Mullen's House, Huber House, the SRSLYS house down here. Moving forward, we continued with the Youngs, Mayor, and Vanderkamp House. If you missed any of this, check out my first video. In part 2, I'll be giving you a tour of the houses I chose and adapted to suit actual gameplay. As a little treat, some of the houses are already occupied with their respective inhabitants, so you will get to meet them too. But before we dive into the Delfino House, here's a quick reminder. I'll be using existing content from the gallery and will provide a list of the creators' names below, so you can join in on the fun. But I don't own all of the Sims 4 packs, so I had to replace some of the objects. At 4356, we have the Delfino House. However, the version I downloaded from creator SRSLYS actually presents the house during the Mayfair era. I believe when Mike lived here, the interior had less wood. Nevertheless, it was a bit dull, so I decided to keep it that way. Of course, I made some adjustments to suit Mike's needs. I added some dog stuff for Bongo and some plant boxes to accommodate his passion for gardening. We all know he took bright pride in his roses, and unfortunately, due to the size of the lot, I couldn't include his garage with the workstation, but I did manage to provide him with a workbench at least. The Scavo House at 4355 was the one I was most excited about. We have a large lot here, so I decided to go with a bigger and more detailed house. This particular one was created by Carl Dillynson, who shared the entire building process of this house on his channel. I highly recommend checking him out. In Desperate Housewives, the Scavo's garden is located on the right side of the house rather than behind it. However, for gameplay purposes, I thought it would be more enjoyable to have a larger garden, especially now that we can add a real tree house for the Scavo's kids thanks to the Growing Together pack. Upstairs, we have all the important rooms, including the twins' room. It's fun to imagine them jumping on their beds here. That was The Sims 2, I guess. Well, good old times. And we go downstairs. We have a living room and the big kitchen, the most important place of the house, and my favorite kitchen in the show because it's just really social. But we also have the second living room, which isn't shown that often, and also the dining table here we only see rarely. And then next to that, I used the garage as a little skill room. And it kind of makes sense because Tom stores all of his midlife crisis hobby equipment in here. This house belongs to my absolute favorite non-main character, Mrs. McKluskey. She is initially introduced as the Karen of the street, but she is much cooler than that. Eventually, she becomes friends with the Scavos and frequently babysits for them. One thing I was particularly mindful of is that Mrs. McKluskey had a husband and a son in the past, so you can still find traces of them in some of the rooms. Additionally, I made sure to include the famous basement in this wonderful build by Steph 80320. It's where she stores her husband and where the Scavo kids seek refuge during the thunderstorm. Mrs. McKluskey's character is truly memorable, so no wonder they ended the show with her death. Spoiler alert! Now, this mysterious house located at 4360 isn't shown frequently in the show, only 2 or 3 times, I think. It sits between Mrs. McKluskey's and Edie Britt's house, although it's not entirely clear who lives here during season 1. So I decided to go with the only mentioned inhabitant that we actually saw, which is Mr. Scully from season 7. Later on, he sells his house to Paul Young. This house has the charm of an old bachelor's residence, and I absolutely love what Cerise Do 44 has created here. It has the appearance of an older home that likely hasn't undergone renovation in decades. The upper floor with its 3 tiny rooms is simply adorable. My contribution to this build was adding some objects to give Mr. Scully hobbies, such as a dog, as well as some gardening and beekeeping equipment. Overall, I'm thrilled with how this house turned out, and it adds a unique touch to the neighborhood of Wisteria Lane. We have finally arrived at the last house on Wisteria Lane, which is 4362, also known as Edie Britt's house. For the super nerds amongst you, you may have noticed that this is Edie's second house. In episode 2, Susan accidentally burns down Edie's original house, so this is the one she builds later while she lives with Karen McKluskey. I figured no one wants to build a house right at the beginning of playing Desperate Housewives, so I decided to stick to the second house. One important feature of this building is the bar area in Edie's living room, as she spends a lot of time here. Additionally, we know that she works as a real estate agent, so having a small office space in the house makes a lot of sense, even though we don't see it in the show, I believe. Upstairs, I included a kid's room for her son when he comes to visit, and I added a room with piano and a guitar because we know Edie can play both instruments. Now we've reached the final lot in Wisteria Lane, which is Wisteria Parc. I came across a Wisteria Parc creation in the gallery by Theonlysph, which I thought was a good approximation of the original. However, it turned out to be too small for the lot size, so I took the liberty to rearrange the layout and adding some newer items here and there to transform it into a fully functional play area for the kids, and a dating spot for the teens, as well as a great event location for the adults. It's important to create a space where the community can come together and enjoy various activities, and I believe this revamped Wisteria Parc accomplishes that, so let me know what you think about it. And I think this is also going to be the only build that I will upload in the gallery because I changed quite a lot here. The other houses were nearly perfect just when I downloaded them. And that concludes this video. If you enjoyed watching, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I would love to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comment section. Let me know which parts of my creation process for the save file are the most interesting to you. And also, by the time this video is uploaded, I will have created all the characters for season 1, including 50 plus townies so far. I plan to continue working my way through the seasons, adding more characters and locations as I come across them. If I find a suitable creation in the gallery, I will use them, but if not, I'll build them myself. And if you want to see my builds before the save file is complete, you can check out my gallery items under my username SimsisFrankie or by searching the hashtag FrankiesFairview. I'm really enjoying the entire process as it has revitalized my passion for The Sims. So stay tuned for more updates and content, and thank you for joining me on this journey.